there is a lot of gender bias in the classroom surrounding how men operate and how women operate. And I don't think that there is a good understanding with educators of that the boys and girls are not the same, and that there are strengths that boys have that girls don't, and often they're not exposed, they're not brought to light. So what are some of the gaps that you saw, and what were some of the activities that you did to help bridge those gaps with your young men?
Sure. And I agree that, young men and women are not the same, but even a step further is masculine and feminine energy are not the same. And the way that we need to honor both as educators, you might have some young men who are much more feminine in nature, and the way that you need to, I'm sure you talk all the time about differentiation of instruction and making sure that you're meeting learners' needs where they are. And when I think about young men in the classroom, the way that public education is set up in general, it's not designed to help young men in the classroom. I did a post about it recently on Instagram, and I remember hearing these things as a student. I remember hearing them and saying them as an educator, and then even when I was an administrator, similar types of things. And you would hear, sit up straight, raise your hand, walk in line, no talking. It was basically putting us and kids into these little boxes and forcing this curriculum down their throats that was developed 100 years ago, and not really recognizing that there are so many other lessons that they need to learn outside of the traditional curriculum. I talk to my kids all the time. Like, we sit down for dinner and they need to tell me things that they're learning in school. And so my daughter, Sophia, she's 11 years old. She said, I'm learning the capitals of all the Spanish speaking countries. And I said, why? Why do you need to learn that? And she said, I don't know, because we have to. And I said, okay, tell me the capital of Uruguay, or, Bolivia, or whatever. And she's like thinking. And I just said to Siri, what's the capital of Bolivia? And it spits it out. Right. And I said, why not learn how to communicate in a deeper way? Why not have a conversation in Spanish? Why not, just a quick example, but the things that we're teaching them, if we really look at it, there's so many things that are at our children's fingertips with technology, which is good and bad, right? So let's use it for the good things. If there's things that's rote memorization that they could find out by typing something into Google or asking their phone, that's not stuff that we need to be addressing in the classroom. What we need to be addressing in the classroom is teaching them how to speak publicly. We should start letting kids learn how to present in a really powerful, efficient way in second, third, fourth grade. We didn't have to take a public speaking class until college, right? You were asked to go up and present in front of people, but we were never truly taught how to do it. Why not teach kids how to resolve conflict in an effective way? Why not teach them how to manage money? Why not teach kids how to work as a team, like just a class about group dynamics? We are expected as adults to be able to work efficiently with other individuals, understanding people's strengths, people's weaknesses. We're never really truly taught how to do it. As teachers or as educators, like, all right, you four are going to go into a group. The red group is over here, or count off by fours, get into a group over here, or I'll have a high, a low, and a middle kid in a group, without truly teaching them how do you work in a group when one kid isn't pulling their weight, when you feel like you're overburdened, when you don't understand the topic. So why not teach kids these real life lessons that they could learn? Or even, what are you truly interested in right now? What's something that really gets your motor running? What are you really passionate about? Let me teach you how to learn more about that, and then do something with it. Start a business around it. Those are things that I really believe that we need to be focusing our time and energy on, not 18th century French literature. It drives me crazy. And the things that, the amount of time, there's 180 plus days in a school year. How much time is truly spent on things that the kids are going to truly need when they're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old?
With the new jobs, the jobs are changing so fast. They're changing so fast. And it's, marketing's a huge, there's so many different elements of, we need people that are willing to step up. And that's something I've seen. We have a group, our school is called the Wolf Pack. And we have a group called Justice Wolves. And that's our mascot is the Wolf Pack. And the Justice Wolves is like 8th graders that have some leadership skills that want to develop and help out the younger group. And it's a really cool program. But I was really shocked. We had an opportunity that we brought to the Justice Wolves of, hey, we want a student to come on and give the morning announcements every week. Once a week, we have morning announcements instead of having the principal up there. Nobody wanted to do it. Of the leaders in the school, nobody wanted the rock. Nobody wanted the ball in their hand to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I want it. I want the opportunity. I want to be challenged. I want to step up, challenge myself.
Yep.
And so it's concerning to me because even a few years ago, I've only been in education for about 7 years. But even 5, 6, 7 years ago, there were kids that were like grabbing for that. Like, yeah, I want that. I want that opportunity. And we're, especially with the COVID situation, we've conditioned them to be status quo, take it easy, don't take too many risks. It's really, I want to see that level up. I don't know, do you have anything that you talked about with your boys group or anything that you could suggest to a listener that wants to level themselves up in the mindset of putting the ball in their hands and taking those risks?
It's a great question. And I want to circle back quickly to make sure that I honored your last question about things that I would do with the Building Men group when we were face to face.
Yeah.
We would meet once a week. It was in person. I set it up in a circle, so there were no front and back corners of the room. It was every a circle. It's a powerful object. Everyone has an equal, place in that shape. We would start every single meeting with a handshake. You have to shake every other person's hand in a room, a firm handshake, look them in the eye like you're going on a job interview, like you're meeting your girlfriend's father for the first time. There was always a topic of like something that we would share. It would be either a quick thing that as we were getting to know each other to start as an icebreaker, or it could, as we built community and there was like this really strong established, solidified community experience there, we could start talking about what are things that we're really scared about. What are our biggest fears right now? And as that community was established, I saw kids, and I ran the program for more than a decade. I saw 8th grade boys break down in front of their peers, sharing family situations. It's not the norm for, in a group of 25 young men for kids to cry. And it was totally fun because of what we had established. And then we always did some kind of a game or activity. There was a lesson for the day. It was about perseverance. It was about respect, responsibility. I would use different poems. I would use social media things. I would bring in other things. And then we played a game. We would do something, something to make them laugh, something to get them moving. We would do, little things here and there. By the end of it, we were doing trust walks in town where a kid was blindfolded and they knew that they had to rely on the partner next to them to get them to another spot safely. So that's pretty much how we went about structuring those meetings in a way that was really powerful for the kids. And then it would be little lessons. I taught them how to tie a tie. I taught them how to, change a car tire. I was not allowed to do that. There's no way I was allowed to have kids outside jacking up my car and learning how to change a tire. But I said, you know what? They need to learn this. Let's learn it as a community together. And then if I get a slap on the wrist by the superintendent, I'll deal with that. That's fine with me. But in regards to your question about helping kids understand, you mentioned the wolf pack and kids not stepping up in that leadership capacity. Here's my advice there. And I think a couple of readings I've done recently, there's this idea as people are at the twilight of their years and they ask that generation, do you have any regrets or what's something that you wish you would have done differently in your life? It's always about spending more time with loved ones, with family, like really honoring those relationships. It's not about the car. It's not about the house. It's not about the bank account. It's about relationships. The second thing is doing something to leave a legacy. So once you're gone, what are you going to do that your name is still remembered, that people are still speaking about you, that there's a piece of you that lives on in some type of a legacy capacity? And the other thing is take a risk. Take a risk in your life. And for so long, Thomas, I lived in this adverse risk mindset. I was afraid to take a risk. I was a principal that was making 6-figure salary. I had a pension that was 12, 13 years down the road. My benefits were fine. I was getting, every 2 weeks, I just knew the paycheck was coming. I get a 2% raise every year because the calendar turned a page and there was no risk associated with it. So in the last year and a half of my life, as I've taken a lot of risks with leaving education and starting this podcast and getting sponsors, it's been risky, but it's also been very exhilarating. So I would say find opportunities to take risks. And even if that is doing an announcement one morning, when you get that feeling, first you have to see yourself being the person that's going to do that. So I want to see myself as Michael Jordan hitting that last shot. And even if I missed the shot, at least I tried to do it. The worst thing in life would be not taking it, not taking that risk, not taking the chance. You don't want to be at that spot at the end of your life saying, I wish I just would have fill in the blank. Even if you aren't successful at whatever the task is, you're successful at trying the test. You're successful at pushing your chips in and giving it a shot. So many people don't do that.
That's the first step, and that's playing to win.